Joining us now, we have Rob Shepard and Phil Buskohl. Good to see you both, gentlemen.
You too. Thank you.
Now, you're leading the MRS staging group on responsive and adaptive materials. We want to start with the basics. So what exactly are responsive and adaptive materials?
That's a really good question. So what we define as responsive and adaptive materials are just simply materials and material composites that change their physical properties in response to a stimuli. That could be magnetic, optical, heat. And then what happens is the material will absorb that energy and then change its properties accordingly. And it can either be an autonomic response or a programmed one, depending on the application.
And Phil, I got the impression this was not an easy question to answer in 30 seconds or so, but did you want to add to that?
Right, I think what we're really excited about leading the staging group is that we have a plethora of materials that have these different responsiveness, but how can we introduce a level of hierarchy of control and feedback to really have a sense decision-making process and a response that these materials can achieve by themselves or in some sort of composite fashion.
So what are some of the potential outcomes of the emerging field?
Well, if you're able to integrate all these capabilities into a single material set or some hybrid material set, then you could really dramatically change the way we design soft robotics, the way we design sensing platforms. And so it could really, as far as the Air Force's perspective, which is where I'm coming from, it really changes the swap game, size, weight, and power constraints for the different competencies and capabilities we're trying to provide the warfighter.
Now, Phil touched on it, but Rob, tell me what sort of technologies or devices might the consumer see out of this field?
Yeah, from a consumer level, we're seeing advances in robotics that could really up their game with new materials for human-robot interactions. You could also think of automatic acoustic responses to a room. You could have absorbing materials that change to reflective, depending on what the mood you're trying to create. You could also think of the same thing optically as well.
Now, as part of the new MRS staging group on this topic, what sorts of activities are you looking to engage in?
Yeah, so what we want to do is take this staging area, responsive and adaptive materials, and really perfuse it throughout the materials community and reach people that haven't normally thought of what they do as fitting into responsive and adaptive. We're going to do that through social media, through publications, through normal things like symposia at MRS. Try to reach people at MRS, but also across communities to like the American Chemical Society. People that might go there, maybe think about coming to MRS instead.
And as the staging group ramps up, what types of volunteers are you looking for?
Really energetic, creative individuals that want to take ownership of their own research and foster it into a new space that could engage a larger community.
And if someone's out there and interested in volunteering, how can they get involved with the MRS Responsive and Adaptive Materials Staging Group?
Well, we have a Frontiers meeting Thursday night, or you can just simply email me at rfs247@cornell.edu, and I can give you plenty of activities to participate in.
Very good. Rob, Phil, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.